Hey everybody, welcome to another entry in the Hyrule Compendium, a series where we focus in on a topic related to Legend of Zelda. Today we are looking at a comment from user Tim B, who asks if we liked the controls in Breath of the Wild, and if there were an option to customize it, would we prefer that?
Okay. Well, I'll start right where we started when we got the game. I picked up. We played on the Nintendo Switch version, and so in addition to this being a brand new Zelda game, it was also a brand new console. So the very first thing I noticed when I literally opened the Switch and I picked up the controller was how small it felt to me.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on with that controller, but it was so there was an adjustment period not only to the controls but actually to the controller in of itself. And then once I started playing the game, especially even in the tutorial area on the greatest plateau, almost all of the buttons come into play almost immediately. And it could be a little bit overwhelming. I think there's a very steep learning curve to playing this game.
I always would find myself doing something I didn't mean to be doing, like, I'm gonna detonate this bomb, and I'm like, whoops, I just threw my sword, or I don't know the specifics. Well, I do know that I confuse the run with the jump sometimes, and I know that's the only control you can switch, so it kind of makes sense, but sometimes I'll think the jump button also what you press to climb up faster when you're climbing? That might be the run.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, yeah, sometimes I confuse those two.
I think so.
I don't know, whatever it is like that's the same reason in my head. So I'll be climbing, and I'll be like halfway climbing somewhere, and I think, okay, I can make it. I got enough stamina to climb faster, and then I plummet down.
And I think I saw it on your game. You reversed the jump and run button, didn't you?
I did for a little bit, and then I realized I just confused them still anyway. So
okay. Because I remember I was playing your record for a moment to grab some footage or something, and I'm like, this is odd.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on for a while. And I'm like, then I realized that was an option. It felt strange that was the only option.
Yeah.
Why, so the button that's on the bottom middle, I don't even know what button that is, but which is the normal run button. It would seem like some people would want that to be the sword button as well. That might feel natural a little bit as well. Maybe. But, if they were going to, I mean, as the question asks, if it was fully customizable, it would be great if you had, all right, here's the 14 buttons that you have. And, I mean, you can make it as obnoxious as you want. L2 is your sword and,
right.
Press the right joystick in and you jump.
Well, I was thinking some people say if you're coming into this and you're used to Skyrim, that's completely different. You hit the right trigger to swing your sword, and
okay.
One of the buttons, either the bumpers or one of the triggers, is to dash. So say that's in your mind, that makes sense.
Right. Oh yeah. That would I haven't played one of those types of games, but I imagine if you came right off of that and then you played this, you would try to play the game with those controls. Well, maybe at least.
Yeah, that's So this game's kind of an amalgamation of a couple different, Zelda and then other modern games, and it kind of goes with what we've been talking about of them making their first foray into these modern games. There's a little bit of growing pains, I think, that comes with it.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing is there was just so many buttons. When you think back to, say, Ocarina or Wind Waker, any of the console games where, it literally takes a snapshot of your controller and puts it in the corner, so you see the C buttons, or, with Wind Waker you saw the GameCube controller, and there was 4 buttons. That's it.
Yeah.
And maybe there's an L, Z targeting, L targeting or something, and that was it. This one, you had your 2 joysticks, you had 4 buttons on the right, 4 buttons on the left, 2 buttons up top on the right, 2 on the left. You can press both joysticks in.
Yeah.
mean, there was so much, and like I remember, as you said, you pulled out a bomb, and how many times I detonated a bomb when I didn't mean to.
Right. I thought that would throw it, or I don't know. It's
And then they have some what I think are slightly more complicated mechanics, like the shield surfing.
oh right.
It's like I have to stop and think about what I'm doing in order to accomplish a shield surf.
Mm-hmm.
Like I even now on my third playthrough, I can't instinctively do it.
Yeah.
I have to think. You hold your shield, jump, hold X, and sometimes I'd mess it up and have to do it 2-3 times.
Yeah. Some of it is, it's just there's so many buttons, but, with time, you can sort of master some of this. But I think for me, if I, say I haven't played this game in a couple of days or whatever, it's going to take me a little bit of playing again just to, get back into it. It seems like a control style that isn't going to just, stick with me.
Right. That being said, I don't have any complaints about it. Like I can't think of how they could optimize it any better because every button is used for something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think maybe with some tweaking, which they'll probably do. So, but yeah, I can't really think of any. I didn't hate them. It just took me a little bit to get used to it. So.
Right. Yeah.
We were talking about playing with just the Joy-Cons.
Oh yeah.
Did you actually do that?
I tried it.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes with I said the Switch controller is small, and if you take out that piece of plastic and you're just holding it on the side leisurely, it feels even smaller, and it feels awkward. I don't know why, but I can't. Basic mechanics felt hard to accomplish.
Yeah, I feel like there's some grips missing and it's gonna fall out of my hand or something.
Right. It's I feel like there's buttons missing. Even though there are no buttons missing, you have access to everything.
I used to like that you could play certain games on Wii like that.
Right.
Because it was a controller that's been torn apart. But it's just maybe if there was a grip you could get for it that makes it.
I think it has to do with the quantity of buttons again. Imagine playing Twilight Princess with the 2 Joy-Cons only. Where, when you think of Twilight Princess, when you're holding the left Joy-Con, I guess, you're only using the analog stick and the 2 trigger buttons. That's it. So the 4 buttons at the bottom are out of the equation.
Okay, yeah.
And on the right side, you've got just the Joy-Con, 1 button, and 1 trigger button.
True.
That's it. You have the D button, but then you have the other ones that are only for peripheral use. But if it's only a 1-button game, or Twilight Princess is not a 1-button game, but you know what I mean. Not a 14-button game. It's a 5-button game. You might feel better.
Yeah, if you're adjusting, if you're having to also press these buttons, you kind of need the whole grip to kind of go back and hold the controller with one hand, and yeah, it's a kind of a control scheme that I think some people maybe just will never get.
Yeah.
And some people will just never be able to enjoy games like this. But I think that happened when games went 3D,
Yeah, I agree.
So I guess that's just the way it is.
One other thing, when I played, I haven't done this much, but very minimally, did I play it purely on the pad, on the tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it kind of awkward to hold the whole gamepad like this and play. The whole, almost like it's like a Wii U gamepad at that point.
Yeah.
I felt it was more comfortable. I only did this on one occasion, but I started playing like that for a minute or two. I'm like, this is weird. Instead, what I did was, I wasn't actually moving around. I was just not playing near my TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took the Joy-Cons out and brought the little plastic piece with me.
Oh.
And it has a kickstand on the back. So I just set it up like it's a little TV and just played it normally.
Was that pretty decent, or?
It was okay. The screen just feels weird because it's so small compared to the TV.
Yeah, does it seem weird looking at that screen? The game seems so big and it's about seeing things in the distance and stuff that when I was playing it on that screen, I almost felt like I was getting a headache, it was harder to see things in the distance, obviously, because they're much smaller on that screen.
Right, and the resolution is actually very similar too, and not much has changed. It's just I think our minds we see different things because of the pure size of the screen.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think playing on the go, this is a console home TV experience type game.
Yeah.
I think.
I've heard from some people that this is the only way they've played it was handheld, so it's interesting.
Maybe it's because that's all I've played it as. So, like, to me, playing it on the go on that small seems like a foreign idea.
Yeah, no, I got too used to playing it on a regular TV screen that I was just not comfortable with that. So,
yeah.
I'm sure other games would be a little bit more transferable.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I'm thinking if... I have this view of 2D, 3D in terms of what a handheld game should be.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's backwards thinking a little bit, but like a game like A Link Between Worlds, for example, if that came out on Nintendo Switch, just hypothetically,
yeah,
since there's not as much going on, it's more of a 2D-ish game.
Mm-hmm.
That would feel just as good playing on either.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
Well, cool. Let us know if you have any other topics you want us to cover. Let us know what you thought about the controls in the game. If you can even play a game like this, or if you're just going to stick with the retro Zeldas. And yeah, thanks for watching.